Hello everyone and welcome to part 5 of my Learn Ethical Hacking course. In this part we're going to look at what a MAC address is and how to change it. So like I said in the introduction of this course, you need to go and buy yourself a 300 Mbps USB wireless adapter which will connect to your host device externally. It's important that it's external, so that's why I'm recommending a USB adapter. The reason for this is we need to use this card as the one that captures all the packets, and we're going to use this as the attacking. Basically think of it like the device that we're using to attack the network or pen test the network with. And the other reason is when you're using a virtual machine, your virtual machine will not recognize internal wireless cards, so that's why it has to be plugged in via a USB port externally. They're not expensive, they're only about £5 to £6 on eBay, but if you want to continue with the network pen testing, then you have to go and buy one. However, you can still follow along, but it won't be the same. If you haven't got one, you can skip to the next part, so you're not missing out on the whole course. The only part you won't be able to do is the network penetration testing. Anyway, if you've got one and you've plugged it in, then you can continue. So each network card, the one that you've just plugged in or your USB adapter, all have a physical static address assigned by the card's manufacturer. This is called the MAC address and it stands for Media Access Control. So the MAC address is basically used by the devices to identify each other and transfer packets. So in the previous video I was talking about the server, the router, sending packets with sensitive information back and forth from the router to the computer. Now all these devices will have MAC addresses, and they'll have a source MAC address and a destination MAC address. So when you send a request through the internet from your say from your USB wireless adapter, that will have a source MAC address, and then the destination MAC address will be the router that you're connecting to. And when you send a request from the wireless USB adapter to go to a website, then packets will have to go to the correct destination, and this is done by matching the destination MAC address with the packets. So if we open up Kali Linux now, I'm going to show you how to change your MAC address and the reason for changing it. So now that we've opened Kali Linux, we can actually start to change the MAC address. But firstly, we need to get your wireless USB adapter directly connected to your virtual machine. So to do so, I'm going to go to VM, go to removable devices, and here it will display all of the devices connected externally to your host device's USB ports. So for example, the Snowball is my microphone, but obviously I don't want to disconnect that from the host because I wouldn't be able to talk right now. I know this one at the top is my wireless USB adapter, so I want to connect it directly to the virtual machine. So I'm just going to click on connect, give it a few seconds. You should hear a strange noise. That way you know it's done. But if you go up to this little icon here, and there should be a new drop down list that says Wi-Fi not connected. If you click on this drop down and click select a network, as you can see here it says no networks for me, but if it says that for you, give it a few seconds and then network should finally appear. So these are all routers in my local area that I can pick up. I can just click on any of them and click connect and it'll ask for the Wi-Fi key, but obviously that's not the point of the video. I'm not going to do that in this one. So click cancel. That's just to show that or to let you know that your Wi-Fi, your wireless USB adapter is actually working correctly. So once that's done, you can actually get on with changing your MAC address. So just open Terminal. It should be in the little shortcut toolkit here. I'm going to click View, Zoom in, and just zoom in a few times. You don't have to do this, but it might come up a little bit small on the video. The text will be anyway. Now we're going to learn how to manipulate the card and change its MAC address. So there's a few commands. So there's iwconfig. If you enter that, click enter, you should see all the wireless cards. Now obviously it's going to show up two that are none or no wireless extensions or non-wireless extensions. and one that is. So WLAN 0 is my wireless card. It's currently not connected to any networks, but it's actually showing it because it's connected directly to the virtual machine. Now, to change the MAC address, we need to actually disable the wireless card. Think of it like when you install a new application, or on Windows, you go to the BIOS and you change some settings, and it says, please restart for changes to take effect. It's similar in that case, that we have to disable a wireless card, make changes, and then enable it again. So to disable it, we're going to do ifconfig, not IW. The difference between ifconfig and IWconfig is that IWconfig only deals with the wireless elements of a wireless card, such as the ESSID and the WEP keys. But all the normal attributes of the network card, such as the IP address and the subnet masks, are all assigned through the ifconfig. So if you do ifconfig, WLAN 0, which is the not O0, which is the name of my wireless card, I'm going to disable it. So you want to just put down at the end of it. So once you click enter, it should disable the card. It won't tell you it's disabled, but once it does it and there's no errors that come up, then you know it's disabled correctly. Next is MAC changer. So if you type MAC changer without a space, so it's MACCHANGER with no spaces, then do --help. Click enter, and you should see this, which is just a list of all the commands you can do with MAC changer. We're only going to focus our attention on a few of them. So if you look at this one here, permanent will reset it to the original MAC address that was assigned by the manufacturer. So if you change your MAC address and you want to go back to the original one, you can do. So you don't lose your MAC address forever, or your original MAC address, you don't lose it, you can go back to it. Random is what I'm going to show you in this video, but there's also -M. Now, the main reason for changing a MAC address would be to, for example, say there was a secret network. So there's 3 laptops all connected to a router on a secret network. That router has a whitelist. In that whitelist, it's got 3 MAC addresses. So the 3 MAC addresses correspond to each of them laptops. And it only accepts them MAC addresses to connect to it. So that's why it's like a secret like server or network. But if you wanted access to it and you just tried to connect to it, it would reject you because you don't have a MAC address that is on that whitelist. But if you found out one of them MAC addresses of them laptops that are allowed to connect to the network, then you can actually just change your wireless USB device's MAC address directly to or copy it. Basically, you're just copying the MAC address that's allowed onto the secret network, which I think is the most useful part of it, because then once you change your MAC address to one that's on the whitelist and you try to connect to the network again, it will accept you because it thinks, hang on, this MAC address is actually allowed, it's not it's on the whitelist. But obviously you're not that person who should be allowed on it. It's just, you're basically just tricking the server. But we're not going to do any of that. We're just going to change it randomly, or to a random different MAC address. So to do so, I'm going to type MAC changer, then -random, which is that, and then the name of the card, so WLAN 0. Click enter, and as you can see, it says current MAC, permanent MAC address, which was set by the manufacturer, and then the new MAC address. So that's it. We've just changed the MAC address. But if we remember, we disabled the card. So to enable it, we need to do ifconfig WLAN 0 up. Instead of down, it's up. So you click enter, give it a second, and that enables the card again. So if we go back up to this, go back to Wi-Fi and click select network, as you can see, it allows you to connect or search for networks. So we know the card's still working now, and it's actually enabled. So that was it. That's how to change your MAC address. As you can see here, this is the new MAC address. But the main reason for changing MAC addresses is, like I said before, with the whitelists for secret servers or secret routers, etc. And so that's it. That's it for this video. In the next video, we're going to look at different wireless modes. But if this video did help, please like, comment, subscribe for the latest content, and I will see you in the next video.